horizons. Today, we're at the Old Mill District to get a tour of the Old Mill and learn all about the history. This is located here in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, at the Old Mill District. So let's go on in and learn some history about the Old Mill.
Okay, my name's Emmett. I grew up working in this mill. I think y'all heard me out there. Okay. The mill was built in 1830. It's been in continuous operation ever since. This river also, we hold the oldest water rights on the river. This used to be the first post office in Pigeon Forge. Well, it still was. It is the first post office. And actually, it was a post office 11 years before it was a town. Pigeon Forge, the mill was built in 1830. Pigeon Forge didn't become a town until 1841, but they'd already been getting mail here. As far as the building goes, the floor seals holding the floors up are 14 by 14 inch yellow poplar, 40 feet long, and they framed this building. They used green timbers, but they used seasoned hickory pegs. So as the building aged, those timbers started shrinking tighter and tighter around those pegs. So actually the building got stronger as it got older. All the flooring, all three floors, is the original flooring. You notice all these nails, square-headed nails. In 1820 they built a forge over here, and those nails were made over in that forge. So it took a little while just to make the nails. The big wheel on the outside, that wheel is 24 feet high, 3 feet wide, and it weighs 4 tons, and it produces about 40 horsepower. Besides it, now, we have 2 turbines in here. One setting, now they set 12 feet below the water, one right over here by those yellow trash cans, and the other one right here. One right here was put in 1921. That was the same year that they concreted the dam. And when they put that turbine in, they put a generator in here. And they generated, and we generated the power for Pigeon Forge from 1921 up to 1924. To give you kind of an idea of how little amount of power was being used at the time, that generator, it was a 50 kilowatt generator. It only produced about 1,200 kilowatt hours a month. My electric bill last month, I used 1,317 kilowatt hours. So this mill would not have run a modern day house. In 1924, they had 50 customers. So, of course, back then you only had 1 or 2 lights in the house. And that was also at that time when they were going from the old ice boxes to the refrigerators. So if you're real lucky, you got a receptacle in the kitchen. Okay, now, before we go to this side, later on in the tour, you're going to hear me talking about elevators. Here's what I'm talking about. All these boxes running up and down, they all have an elevator in them. So they either, you got cornmeal, flour, or grain, whole grain in it. Then gravity will bring it back down. If you want to step right around here, here's a set of sifters. First of all, they'll sift off the corn flour, and then they'll sift off the cornmeal. That goes over to the distillery. They make mash out of that, or liquor. And then they will sift off the bran. That's the outside hull, that corn. What you have left is your grits. That's the heart of the wheat, or the corn.
So nothing goes to waste?
No. Okay, before we go to the other side, any questions? Okay, we'll step right on grinding on. This is the second set of stones put in the mill. The first set, the original set, they lasted 147 years. Now they're leaning against the porch on the left-hand side. Now those stones are, as well as this set of stones, they were made on the southern coast of France. That company is still in business making millstones. They're considered the best millstones in the world. They're made of flint granite, which is extremely hard stone. And the original cost, $600 brand new. That includes shipping them from France. Now, this set, we put these in 1977. Like I say, they were also made in France. Used $10,000, 1977. They come out of an old mill that had burnt. And actually, we were really lucky when we got these, because these are the same size as the original set. Now, these stones will turn about 350, 400 RPMs, and they grind about 300 pounds of cornmeal in an hour's time. Last year, they ground just a little over 400,000 pounds of cornmeal in here. I do not know how much flour they ground, but I did see the paper on the cornmeal. Now, with all that grinding, these stones are going to get dull, and we have to sharpen them. See it sharp right back here? Okay, those stones have grooves cut into them. Those grooves are about 3/8 inches deep. The way this stone does the grinding, but cornmeal or flour has got to go somewhere. So it falls into those grooves, as wheels spinning, and it's centrifugal force will go down. First thing we do, take all this wooden structure loose. That just lifts right up, and we set it aside. We lower this jack down, and see these pieces of steel right here? Those were made over in that old forge. Now, we take those steel, they got eyes on them, put right on these hooks. That top stone's got a hole drilled in the side of it. One on this side, one on the other side. And we just run bolts in there, and we'll start picking these up, turning the jack. Okay. Here. Here's what they look like when they're lifted up.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Now, that top stone, there's no bolts holding that on there, just the weight of the stone sitting on that bearing right there. So, now, once we get them separated, then it'll take 4 of us to turn that stone upside down. I know before they put this steel in here, when I worked here full time, buddy, that thing creaked and groaned. It made all kind of weird noises, I'm telling you. And your feet are right underneath that thing. I mean, it gave you the heebie-jeebies because you didn't know if it was going to break. I was talking to the guys, and yep, it still makes that creaking and groaning, but that steel does kind of give them a little more confidence. So, okay. And once we get them over there, like I say, we'll turn them upside down and they'll be ready to sharpen. Now the bottom stone, it's a stationary stone, and it does not move. The top stone is called the runner stone. That's the one that does all the grinding. Okay. Nowadays, when they sharpen the stones, they bring them a millwright in here, and he uses a little jackhammer, that thing about like that. And it still takes him a day and a half. When I worked here full time, that's how we done it. We cut it in there with hammers. And I'll tell you what, that stone is hard. This picture was taken the second year I worked here. And this is the first year I worked here, the stones had already been sharpened. Second year, I had help sharpen. That's a picture of me. And I'll tell you what, you notice this guy, and this guy's got long sleeves on. This is the first day I'd ever sharpened those stones. I just live right down the street. That flint flying off of there, man, it would cut you like a razor blade. When I got, come dinner time, I walked in the house, and my mom see my arms, like I had blood all over me. She said, "Good Lord, child, what have you been doing?" I said, "Well, Mom, I told you that we had sharpened the millstones." Well, next thing I know, she got me over there by the sink. And I was growing up, I'd never seen a bottle of rubbing alcohol in my life. I'm not kidding you. I was probably 14, 15 years old. Well, I'd seen plenty of them quarts of moonshine my daddy drank. And She pulled that jug out from underneath the sink. I'll tell you what, you couldn't have put a blowtorch on my arms. It ain't been any hotter.
Oh, I bet it burned.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Rubbing alcohol today's only 50% alcohol.
Yeah.
My daddy drank 190 proof. Moonshine. I know one thing. I left that house and come back to work. I had a long sleeve shirt on. I wore one for 2 more days in August. But,
Lesson learned.
yeah, I'll tell you. Okay, now once we get the stone sharpened, we'll go ahead and put all this back together and we'll be ready to grind again. Now we grind grits. Grits ground pretty much the same way as cornmeal, but we're gonna grind the grits a little coarser, so you gotta lift the stone up. And that's what this jack is for. Lift it up just a little bit, and them boys, this is part of the little outfit they got. Hooks right on there and goes into that hole. And they've got a belt upstairs that runs off a drive line that runs a vacuum system. It sucks in grits upstairs. Once it gets upstairs, it goes into the grits machine. Now, that grits machine, all it is a set of sifters.
I'm sorry, I mean, you have 5 or 6 people.
Back to you come to about right here, honey. Just about there. Okay, that's good. Okay. Now, before 1889, your girl sent one of these guys down to the store to get you a loaf of light bread. I tell you right now, you're gonna come back with an excuse that he ain't gonna bring you no light bread. 1889 is when they started refining flour. Before that, all your flour was whole wheat, rye, pumpernickel, dark breads. They were all dark breads. 1889, when they started refining white flour, every mill of any size jumped on the bandwagon because that white flour was a real money maker. This mill included. Okay. We can come down this chute right here and then follow a set of rollers. Now, these rollers have got little ridges on this first set. Without those little ridges, that wheel just sit there and spin. These little ridges on it, that back roller back there will grab it. And they'll grind it just a little bit. All they're going to do is crack the wheat. Once it goes upstairs by an elevator to a sifter, they'll sift off the bran, that outside hull. And they'll mix it with the corn bran and all the other brands for cow feed. When it comes back downstairs, it comes in this set of rollers. And they'll sift off the heart of the wheat, the most nutritional part, sold for hog feed. Yeah, they go wheat shorts or Midlands or hog shorts. Okay. After that's sifted off, one more time, back downstairs, that last set of rollers. All you have left is starch. It's a wheat starch. The cow's got this part, the hog's got that part. You got the starch. That last set of rollers are really grinded fine. Back upstairs for its last time. And it'll go through a set of sifters up there that are made of French silk. There's 30,000 holes to a square inch. That silk, you can pour water on it. Water will not go through it. But flour does will. Okay, after it's been sifted, it'll go over into a big old box and got a set of paddles in it. And they'll add a chemical dry bleach in there. That's where you get that nice white fluffy flour. Since the animals are getting all the good and you're getting the bad, that's also where you get that old saying about the whiter the bread, the sooner you're dead. Yeah. Or the whiter the dough, the sooner you go. Yeah. Okay. During the war between the states, everybody knows Tennessee was a Confederate state. All but this area here. Now, about 85% of the people in this area were they were Union people. And the man that owned this mill, he was a Union activist. That anytime you got a war going on in a country, a civil war, like here in the United States, most of your battles fought here in the South. Okay, very, very few crops are being planted. Number one reason is that farmer, he's got a new job. He's a soldier now. So the only ones you had planting crops at home then There's the wife and the children, and some of the old people. This mill felt the financial effect of the Civil War. So what the guy did that owned this mill to subsidize his income, he took the looms and put them upstairs on the second floor, and they wove cloth for uniforms for the Union Army. I mean, something nearly suicidal, men that are totally surrounded by the Confederacy. And they had no tannery down the river, about 1.5 miles. They brought leather up here, and up on the second floor also, they made boots, shoes, belts, harnesses, anything the Union Army needed. They that out of leather, they made it. The top floor, that was a military hospital. You can better imagine what it'd be like laying on that floor up there, because I'll guarantee you they didn't have a bed to lay on in the middle of August. Them guys would have been miserable up there. Okay, now, and then there was a couple of battles fought around here. One right outside of Pigeon Forge. The bigger one of the two was fought in Gatlinburg. It's called the Battle of Bird Hill. What they were fighting over was saltpeter mines. Without saltpeter, you can't make gunpowder. What was happening, the Confederate Army come across the mountain from North Carolina. They started shooting at the miners. The miners, they had the mines shut down. Well, gunpowder started to become a real issue then. So they brought troops from Knoxville. They brought them to Gatlinburg, and they had a little battle up there. It lasted about 1.5 hours. Surprisingly, nobody got killed. But they did have several wounded, and they captured a few Confederate soldiers. Now they brought the wounded here to the mill. The Confederate soldiers, they took them to Sevierville, locked them in jail. Next night, the Confederate Army come across the mountain, broke them out of jail, got them back across into North Carolina. Now, excuse me. A little story I like to tell at the end of the tour. It's a true story. I've been feeding a big line of bull on the rest of it. Hey, but now, the people that work here, that own this place, when I worked here full time, her great-great-grandfather was a doctor in the Confederate Army. Now, at the beginning of the war, when prisoners were captured, they did prisoner exchange, and they also did paroles. You signed your name to a piece of paper saying that you would not fight the opposing side. They sent you home. Both sides did this. Well, towards the end of the war, they started capturing prisoners. Hey, we captured these guys like 3 months ago. They figured out these guys are not going home. They're coming right back on the battlefield, and they're having to fight them twice. So from then on, anybody caught on that battlefield without a uniform, they were tried for treason, and if they were found guilty, they were executed. The problem with doctors, doctors did not wear a uniform on the battlefield. For the simple reason, within 5 minutes, they are totally saturated in blood. So, and they only got 2 uniforms. Any other uniforms than that, they had to buy themselves. Well, he was captured on the battlefield. He was brought before a court-martial board and tried for treason and found guilty. Right before they started to pass sentence on him, there was an officer, a Union officer, stood up in the courtroom. He also happened to be a doctor, and he was pleading for the man's life. He told him, he said, when this war is over, and it's going to be over real soon, this country is going to need every doctor that we can get. So they decided not to execute him. They sent him to a prisoner of war camp up north, and he finished the war out up there. What that Union doctor did not tell the court-martial board was the Confederate doctor used to be his roommate in medical school. So he saved his life right there at the end. Okay, you folks have any questions on the tour? Okay. Oh, a lot of people wonder what we do with all this meal and flour. That restaurant buys all their meal and flour. There's another restaurant right across the street. There's a couple more here in town. That internet. I hadn't been in the mill in 20 years. When I worked here, we did not have the internet. I walked in here and I'm like, God, what are they doing with all this cornmeal and flour? Then I realized it's the internet. And we also have a contract with the U.S. Park Service. Over in Cades Cove, they got a little mill there. And Mingus Mill, there's 2 or 3 mills up in the park. And they give a grinding demonstration, but they don't grind enough to sell. So we wholesale to them, and that way they can resell it, and they can also say stone ground cornmeal. Any questions?
So are these used to still make them now? Are these still being used?
No, honey, we quit using these.
So you have
and-
something else that you make it with now?
No. Yes and no.
Okay.
We have a friend of ours that has a mill, kinda like this, but he doesn't have stones. So we swap out. Or we supply him with cornmeal, and he will supply us with flour the way we want it.
So the stones are still being used?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They're still being used?
Yeah,
This-
yeah,
this-
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, it's about 15 miles from here. It's over on Little River, it's on the other side of Warriors Valley. Yeah, but these, I've seen them running in 1968, 1969, and as far as I know, all you'd have to do is turn that. This thing is so dusty in here, though, you can't see nothing. Yeah, I mean, it completely eliminates any tours. And you
Well,
buy.
I'm sure OSHA would have a time with you too.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, used to, on the tour, I run the stones, everything. Insurance companies will not let us do it no more. They will not even let us take people upstairs because they're afraid somebody's gonna fall down the steps. And I do not know of anyone ever falling down the steps.
Yeah, but by the time you figure it out.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this little video today in the tour of the Old Mill here in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, the Old Mill District. Such an educational experience it was. Just remember, I'll see you in my next video. And remember, your next dream and your next adventure is just over the horizon. So come on along, let's have an adventure together.